Needless to say, I'm just personally a little bit frustrated, but I'd like to explore some of that here in today's video. If you guys haven't seen, Scott Lane was recently on a big, long podcast interview, and I'll link to it in the description if you guys want to go listen to it yourself. But somewhere around halfway point, there's about like 1 minute where they talk about cash ops, monetization. Ultimately, Scott also shares kind of what his real winning strategy is in terms of retention, player retention, session length, and more of that. Like, honestly, as a game developer myself, as somebody who follows and studies the industry, it's all really fascinating information. I'd highly encourage you guys to check out the full 110-minute long podcast. But overall, just as a brief summary, I'm going to tell you guys why this video is being created, because there's obviously discussion being had online, and New World isn't a game that doesn't isn't free of its haters. I think anybody perusing a comment section on any of these videos will tend to see them pop up from time to time, which, like, as an aside to this video, always kind of has me curious. Like, are they hopeful that New World will make a return, or are they just kind of feeling like they can kind of pile on to the mindset? Either way, I'd love for your theories. You can sound off below, and might as well introduce myself 1 minute into this video. Hello everyone, and welcome to Ginger World Gaming. My name is Brian, and today we're talking about the pay-to-win fear-mongering. It seemed to have make a return. Based off that interview, I'm going to share my thoughts and hopium, obviously, for what I'd like to see in terms of a business model for New World, because at the end of the day, if we like MMORPGs, there's got to be a good business model, and I think New World actually has the opportunity to really set a brand new standard. But you can see here on screen a lot of people talking about how what Scott talked about, that there's going to be more monetization options within the New World store, that then going right into, oh, the game's going to be pay to win. This kind of mirrors what we saw prior to the game being launched, where there were a lot of people saying, oh, this is going to be a pay to win MMORPG, and essentially kind of fear mongering earlier on. Now it's kind of coming back full storm. And I think, honestly, if they do go into a pay to win model, that's going to be pretty bad for the game. I think financially, I think pay to win tends to see that, at least in the short term, it's a great way to make a buck. But I think it goes against everything that Scott is actually saying. I think Scott has talked a lot about being very customer focused, being very about what the players want, trying to build the best game possible. And that's going to be a journey, as any MMORPG is. Now, I am a big defender of New World. I absolutely adore the game. So there's going to be a natural bias that you're going to get in my opinion here. But when we look at, again, just kind of scrolling briefly through the comments here on the Reddit thread, kind of linking to the video, the summary of it is that you have kind of two factions. You got, this is going to be pay to win, or that this isn't going to be pay to win. And right now we really don't have any details. So I think it's best to kind of talk about why I think it will not actually go in a pay to win direction. But just note that whenever we talk about it, gamers have watered down that term so much so that everything is considered pay to win. I've heard people say Final Fantasy 14 is pay to win, that X, Y, and Z game is pay to win. And it really is going to have that personal definition. So I'm going to give you my definition, and then you can obviously let me know where you fall, whether I'm on the mark or I'm not on the mark. I think pay to win means that I am buying power. And what that means is, because there's different ways that happens, we see jump potions. I abhor jump potions. I think jump potions are the lazy way of developing a solution, where the real solution in my mind is finding ways to team up players, veterans, and new players together, and slingshotting new players through the content with the help of veterans. I think that's the ideal. I think the way you go about this is that you have a system in which that we don't have it's easy for friends and new players to join together, and finding kind of mentors and infusing community, like finding ways that it is beneficial for the veteran player to help out the new player, and both of them win. I think that's the real solution that I would love to see implemented in games. But the quick, simple solution that all these MMOs take on is the jump potion. Like, oh, just pay and we'll skip you there. I hope that we don't end up seeing that kind of system in place with the New World. But what I do hope to see is that we continue to see double XP weekends, things that like everybody gets to partake in. Now, what I really personally hope for is a battle pass. And what I mean by that is that within the battle pass model, I think that if it does not expire, meaning you pay for the battle pass and then you can equip whatever battle pass you want, that I think would actually work best for the MMO. Now, the question is what would be included in the battle pass, because does the battle pass include things that give me an advantage over you? And New World is in a very tricky tightrope because of its PvE PvP mindset. The game has a lot of PvP. There is the world domination. If anything ever gave a player an advantage over another PvP player, like buy a territory, things like that, then it will not become optional. It would become mandatory, thus making pay to win feel very forced. So you have a very tough line. But within a battle pass itself, you could end up opening up lots of different cosmetics, a lot of different items. You could have all kinds of different things that maybe you even have a free track or what have you. I don't have a problem with a premium product, because in my mind the subscription model for MMORPGs is going away. Scott actually talked about this, how bad it would have been if they tried to launch as a subscription based game, especially with no nostalgia, especially in the market and the economy. What ends up happening is they have a very low barrier for entry, and anybody can come in and check out the game and check out the changes without having to pay for it. I think that actually is a real strength of the game itself. I think the battle pass could end up supplementing the mindset of a subscription. We also talked about the option of an optional subscription, much like ESO, but I personally would prefer, especially in the world of subscription fatigue, that Amazon leans into its Amazon Prime service, because that's a subscription that exists and most people end up having. We have. And so that you have that as kind of their global subscription that kind of applies to any of their games. But then you end up having the mindset of, oh, you have the battle pass, and that battle pass could end up bridging the gap between a yearly expansion model. I think that financial model could actually really work well and be a very customer focused version for gaming, as long as the battle passes don't expire, because then that creates that artificial FOMO that doesn't work out for anyone. It works out for a while. I'm going to correct that statement here. It works out for a little bit, but until it doesn't. And that's essentially where you see that pay to win games tend to be those flash in the pan. And yes, they'll hold on to players and things like that, but they tend to be like something where they make a lot of money and then they kind of just exist out there until either they shut down or what have you. I think New World is the opportunity to actually set a brand new standard and to find a new model. Imagine an expansion model coupled with that of a battle pass that doesn't expire, allowing you as a player, or even a player that checks out the game in year 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., to be able to bulk purchase past battle passes to be able to grind out on interesting and exclusive content. When it comes down to it, like when you think about titles, when you think about glamour, when you think about like different interesting things that the system does, it's going to be tight, because I think no matter what, even with looking at the comments on this thread alone, I think that there's going to be easily anybody who can perceive pay to win will try to label it as such. I think that label is going to stick. I think that label will stick for a while, and New World will continue to have to put in the hard work that it has to already put in to continue to kind of claw and make a statement within the MMO genre itself. It's going to be a wild ride. I personally am very excited to see what the numbers look like after the July update goes live. But more importantly, I think the fall is going to be an interesting metric in terms of player retention, player interest, and overall enjoyment of the game with the different systems and content that's being released. So I hope that there's no such thing as a jump potion. I hope that there's no such thing as paying for power in the game, because I think that is best done in an earned way. But this is where things will get kind of interesting and tricky, and one of the things I'll be watching personally like a hawk to kind of see where it falls, and if it falls onto that litmus test. If there was such a thing that increased my experience earned by playing for a period of time, oh gosh, I don't know where I would fall in that. So I'd love to know where you would fall in that, because right now I'm not getting experience. I'm already at level 60, but imagine that all of a sudden I feel like the rested experience system that they have in game actually works really well. And if they ended up giving me the option to increase that rested amount of experience that would, as I then can continue to play, I don't know if that would actually violate that perspective, because it's just basically giving me a little bit of a boost. But I guess it could. It's a real, you see what I mean? Like, it can get really tricky really quickly depending on it, because if that experience led me to the ability to kind of overtake you in a PvP encounter, well, that's not fair to you. It shouldn't be. You should never have to have, especially in a PvP, and with the leaderboards being added, they are going to have to walk that tight rope. But again, I still don't see any reason while they're going to push it. I think essentially it's going to be an open dialogue between the players. I think that's what they've shown us this entire time, that they're having this conversation with us. They're responding to feedback on the forums. They're putting out their dev updates. They said they talk about the expansion of the monetization system, which they said on the table was a battle pass. And so I think essentially that could actually be the best case scenario for them and for players who are actively playing the game. Just like we have the PvP reward track, it would be interesting to see some kind of PvE reward tracks of just playing the game, getting experience, doing various things, getting a wide range of rewards. And I think when we talk about transmog, this could be something that absolutely ties into a transmog system, where I've seen people say that, hey, and it's even here in the thread, I don't, I'm not gonna scroll down specifically to it unless I randomly land on it. I know I commented on it, but as far as it goes, where you could actually pay for like transmog tokens to get things to look like other things, that could also be something that's added into the battle pass itself, so that you could play and both maybe on a free track and a premium track, so that even free players who aren't buying the battle pass, get a couple of free tokens every season that they can transmog things, or they can buy various different transmog options, or it's a part of the battle pass itself. Or then I guess the fourth option is that they ended up adding a service to kind of have and take advantage of that. I know that that's going to be something we'll have to wait and see. And as they share details, I know I'm going to be excited to share them with you and then give my thoughts updated on this. Where does it fall? Does it fall into the pay to win category? Because that's going to be, that's honestly going to be something that makes it very difficult for me to be excited and support the game if all of a sudden I'm feeling like I have to. I like wanting to play New World. I love that aspect about the game. I like that I want to play it, not that I feel like I need to play it. And artificial FOMO would take that away from me. And that's going to be something I'll keep you guys up to date on. But regardless, this is something that I keep seeing online. I just don't get the fear mongering in terms of I guess it's maybe algorithmically best. Like, it would have been so much better if I hated New World as a content creator, but I can't lie. It's just like, I'm like, there's so much potential here. This game has so much potential. I'm really excited to see where it goes and where it evolves from here. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening for me and my rambling thoughts, especially as it relates to pay to win fears and more. I did a full reaction over to a video talking about how New World hates its players over on Ginger Prime. I posted that in the community section if you guys are interested in checking that out. If you feel like any of these videos earn it, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, share, all that social media stuff. If you leave a comment as well, those are huge. If you don't know what to comment, you can always just comment an emoji or say thanks for the video or something like that. That's a great way to help these videos out in the algorithm itself. Thank you guys so much for your amazing support. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you next time, but until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to Destiny. I'm off with a clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh.